Hello everyone. Today we will discuss one very important topic of JavaScript, that is lexical environment. So lexical environment, before that we need to know very well that in case of JavaScript, what type of language is this? Means we have seen using JavaScript that it uses minimum unit of abstraction as function. So function is kind of minimum abstraction level or minimum abstraction unit. In case of JavaScript, you can do a lot of things with functions. It gives a lot of freedoms. A function can be created at one moment, then can be copied to another variable, or it can be passed as an argument to another function, and it can be returned as well. So JavaScript is not very much similar with the programming language like C# or Code Java. Okay, it is kind of different from these categories, right? Here the minimum abstraction level of this type of languages is object. So they are object oriented programming, not purely but more of object oriented programming, but in case of JavaScript they are more kind of a functional oriented programming, function oriented programming. So the beauty comes of JavaScript from here. Now today we won't elaborate our discussions regarding on function oriented programming, but rather we are going to focus on a very interesting topic, which is lexical environment. Lexical environment and how JavaScript actually uses these things and gives beautiful environment to the users, end users, means developers. Okay, but before going into that thing, I just want to bring or enlighten some topic like, okay, let's assume that we have some variables and we are trying to understand the scope of those variables. So normally what happens when a function travels from one place to another place in the code and is being called from there, does it access the outer variables of the new place? Okay, so this is kind of interesting question, like, right? Means we have seen like there are two kind of scopes in JavaScript till now. One is that the scope which is we normally say is a global scope, right? Another one is that when we define a function, within a function we are trying to declare a variable within a function, then it becomes inner scope, correct? But in case of outer scope, if you define a variable outer scope and you are going for a modular coding, like means your code is very much modular and each module is self-sufficient, it doesn't depend on other module, they are very much loosely coupled, module 1 to module n, they are self-sufficient rather. Then what is the thing exactly you want? Like if you define a global variable and if your model 1 is going to access one global variable and he is changing it, then this state is going to impact in your next module. It might be n means instance for anything 2 to m. So other modules, so basically in that case you are creating some dependencies, which is not a good programming, right? So you cannot use these things for a good design. In case of solid principle also we have seen, like one people or one object, one entity wants to expose those things only which is essential for the consumer or client code. So I do not want to expose the irrelevant details of any operations. Only the necessary thing. I'm interested in the necessary part. So that is kind of a good object oriented design, and solid principles talks about that. And also abstractions, this is one thing called abstraction, right? So how we are going to take care of all these things using this function oriented language paradigm?